We stay with the story now and speak to DA spokesperson Karabo Khakhau, who's joining us this evening. Karabo, last week when we spoke, you said that you were nowhere near finding each other. In fact, you were saying that the ANC had even said that you can, of course, end the GNU if need be. But it seems that you are now more closer to finding each other. What changed?
Indeed, that's true, Osbangiwe. Let me firstly say hi to yourself and hi to your viewers. You are correct. As of 1:30 on Friday, initially the conversation broke down between ourselves and the ANC that pretty much told us where to get off and that they were not interested in hearing what we wanted to say. But on Saturday, they came back with a document responding to all the demands that we had been making initially. There's nothing new really on the table other than what we had all along since the inception of the budget conversation been talking about. We subsequently responded to their letter yesterday, and conversations are still ongoing. I can confirm that conversations are constructive right now. There is no deal yet. However, it seems that we are getting closer to each other. You'd know that at the heart of the DA's demands was the making sure that we are able to get the economic policy and its reforms that we wanted, that we are of the opinion will be in the best interest of South Africans, that will make sure that we grow our economy, create jobs and bridge the gap between the rich and the poor in this country. And the only way we can do so is by having a very rigorous approach towards growing our GDP, expanding our economy and loosening up opportunities for job creation, making sure that the private sector is able to compete fairly. But also the other thing that we wanted to talk about is the current expenditure framework, because it has over the years been very wasteful and very irregular, opening up the possibility for corruption that is untapped. And those are the things that we also have brought to the table to say, but these are supposed to be fixed. We do have a problem of ghost employees across departments, across municipalities that need to be dealt with. We would be able to cover the shortfall if we deal with that. Yeah. We do have a problem of the government expenditure plan as far as their catering and their travel is concerned, the advertising as well. These are things that they're supposed to fix. But the one thing that is a very, very big thing as far as the economy is concerned that we wanted to talk about is the concessionings on our rail and freight, to make sure that departments such as agriculture, departments such as trade and industry, small business development, the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, as well as the private sector are able to optimally make use of our Richards Bay and our Cape Town harbours so that we can catch up on the 5% GDP loss that we've been recording without them being right there. And that is at the heart of our conversation, because if we see that, then we'll be able to move forward towards an economic trajectory that is satisfactory for the country.
I hear you mention everything else except for one sticking point, which is the VAT, which is something that you've been talking about. Is this a concession on your part that the increase is going ahead?
That's not it. There's no conclusion that has come back to myself to say that we have made a concession on that. But what is important for South Africans also to understand is from the onset, we've been able to record a win of a 2% that was not there. We've seen a 0.5%, and we've said, Osbangiwe, that we don't want to tax South Africans because the cost of living is too painful for South Africans to bear, right? And the only way we would be able to find ourselves in a situation where that is a conversation of the day is if South Africans are being taxed in an economy that is growing, in an economy that is able to match the speed of inflation, that is able to then compete directly to offset the impact of a VAT increase altogether. But what's also important here is that ourselves as the Democratic Alliance, if we were alone in government, then we wouldn't even be having a conversation on VAT altogether. So in the same way that the ANC as a 39% political party is expected to make compromises on a whole lot of things as far as the fiscal framework is concerned, ourselves as the Democratic Alliance also need to understand that we don't have a majority, and there are things that we do not want but might have to turn on. But again, I will be able to give you a more comprehensive response, more detailed, once I know what the outcome of the conversation is.
You do have some analysts who say that yourselves, as well as the ANC, may suffer the consequences of some of the compromises that you've made down the line, even citing this very latest, developments around the budget. How do you respond to that?
Look, it's sad. It's true, because politics is a game of what the voters want and how the voters feel. And ideally, in a situation where we have to make decisions ourselves, then we would be able to appease voters and make sure that we are able to make sure that everybody in this country is happy, right? Particularly because we have seen as far as the reaction to the ANC's rule, how if voters are really tired of you, what they do to you, right? And so we do not want to find ourselves in that situation altogether. But what we can communicate to South Africans is that for as long as the Democratic Alliance is in the government of national unity, then we will fight as hard as we can, and we will not back down until we see a day where we're able to recover our economic strength, until we see a day where South Africans are able to put food on the table for themselves and their families without having to blink twice when they go grocery shopping, where they have to think about the cost of living altogether. We can also commit that as far as government's priorities as far as their expenditures is concerned, and that the DA's watch will be clamping down on corruption, we will be clamping down on fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and ultimately we can deliver a republic that is sober to the minds of not only those responsible for the purse, but to the minds of those who are recipients of government's order, which are the people of South Africa.
All right, Karabo, let's let you go. Thank you so much for that. We are, of course, chasing other political parties on the latest developments here. That was the DA spokesperson, Karabo Khakhau, in conversation with us. It seems that now things are quite different from what the DA told us last Friday. They were not finding each other. It seems now they may be moving closer towards each other as far as the issues of the budget are concerned. So we'll bring you more from the different political parties that we are looking to speak to about the developments here.